Today I'm going to show you exactly how you can break for good the cycle of being on and off, okay? And this might sound like you right now. Probably the type of person who's, can get started and you start making a bit of progress, okay? You're consistent for a few days, few weeks, you're making some progress, okay? You start losing the weight and just like that, what happened is you are undoing all of the progress you are making, right? And you just back to square one. And discipline, more discipline is not the answer to this problem, okay? Some people will refer it to starting a cycle of self-sabotage. And this is exactly what we're going to address today. Why do you keep sabotaging the progress you are making? Why every time you're making a bit of progress, you start undoing them and end up being back to square one, where you got started, okay? What happened is, yes, you stay consistent and at some point, you're entering what I call like a comfort zone and you start being loose with your habits. Let's say you want to get in shape, you start losing the weight, and then you start having this mental talk in your head of like, well, maybe I can take it easy today. Maybe I don't need to track my diet the way I do. And you start stopping doing the habits that actually got you to these points. And next thing you know, you start missing workout and things add up. And that whole discipline just collapses, okay? You're not in this situation alone because there's a stat that's been released. If I'm not mistaken, it's like 80% of people will lose weight, end up gaining back the weight. Okay, so I don't believe that 80% of people starting a weight loss journey has a discipline problem. Like the problem is way deeper than that. Okay, but stick with me in this video. And when I refer to self-sabotage, let's be clear on the concept of sabotaging. It's not like one big event that ends up destroying all of this progress you've been making. It's not typically one event. It's not just one day, but it's a series of micro decisions. Okay? So it's not one big event. It's multiple micro decisions that got you from here to here, okay? You can call it micro sabotage decisions, okay? And as I said, the great example is maybe you stop being as sharp with tracking your diet. Maybe you start missing a workout. Maybe you start, instead of doing 10K steps, you start doing 8K steps. And that things adds up. So it's like a snowball effect, but in the wrong direction, okay? So you're making those decisions that are not leading you to your goals, to the result that you are chasing, right? And the thing is, I don't believe in status quo. You either go up or either go down. So naturally, every decision you're gonna make is either gonna get you closer to your goal or further away from your goal. And this is what self-sabotage is making decisions that are not aligned with your goals anymore. Right? Basically, there is two versions of you. There is the version of you are right now, and there is the version of you trying to become, right? Think of decisions as way to either step into your current identity or in your future identity, okay? And unfortunately, self-sabotage is just a series of decisions that are keeping you exactly where you are, reinforcing that old identity, okay? So, why is that happening? I'm gonna give you an example, and that's basically the analogy we're going to use to demonstrate the concept I want to talk about, okay? Right now, I'm in a room. If I want the room to be at a certain temperature, let's say I want the room to be at 25 degrees, okay? I have to set the thermostat at 25 degrees, right? I cannot get 30 degrees here if the thermostat is set at 25 degrees, right? So whatever is the setting on the thermostat is the temperature I'm going to get in the room, right? Both always have to match. So here we have thermostat and here we have temperature, right? And they're always the same, okay? Let's assume I'm in a place where it's cold, it's winter. I'm gonna use Canada because I spent 12 years of my life being in Canada, and trust me, winter is very, very intense, okay? So let's say you open the door. Your room is at 25 degrees, thermostat 25 degrees, room has 25 degrees, and now I open the door and I leave it open for like 5 minutes. What's gonna happen is you're gonna start having, cold, right? Cold from the outside, it's going to reach the room you're in. Then what's gonna happen to the temperature in the room naturally? If it's cold outside, well, the cool air from the outside is going to interact with the air in the room, and naturally, the temperature in the room will start to go down, okay? So, I'm gonna be here like, 25 degrees, and naturally, the temperature will start to go down. Let's say it reach like, I'm just giving a random number. Let's say start reaching like 20 degrees. Oops. Just don't mind my writing sometimes. Okay. Just make it clear for the camera. So let's say it reached 20 degrees. Okay. We have the thermostat in the room set at 25 degrees exactly. So what's gonna happen is you're gonna have the sensors, right, in the room picking up on that deviation, right? Because the thermostat at 25 degrees, now we have a temperature at 20 degrees, the sensor is gonna be like, well, something doesn't make sense here. We need to readjust and bring back the temperature to 25 degrees, right? Because this is, again, the setting we have in the thermostat. So naturally in the room, what's gonna happen is the heat will turn on, right? And now because the heat, it turned on, well, naturally what's gonna happen, the temperature in the room is gonna go back to 25 degrees, okay? Exactly the way the thermostat is set. If you look, this image right there, what we can deduct is, and there's actually a lot of studying psychology that are proving this illustration, is that in your mind, well, first of all, let's break down. In the mind, there's a concept of you. You have what I call a self-image, okay? So self-image. In your self-image, basically, it's what you think about yourself. So you're gonna think about yourself like, let's say, it's certain physique, right? Weight, even money, even like your dating life. Okay? So within that self-image, you have what I call internal set points, right? It's like a thermostat within your mind, that self-image, right? So that self-image is your thermostat. And again, it can affect different areas of your life. For example, your physique, your weight, the money you make, and your situation with dating life. So if you if you think about your dating life and you realize you're always attracting bad women, you're not successful with dating, trust me, it's not like you are unlucky. It's just your self-image. You see yourself as someone who doesn't have luck with your dating life. Hence, the experience, the temperature, is going to reflect exactly the image that you hold in your mind, right? Basically, another way to say it is your internal settings will always shape your external result, right? They cannot be dissociated. There always has to be an alignment, exactly like the thermostat and the temperature in a room. Okay? So this is why when you start your journey of being in shape, losing weight, for example, and you start making a bit of progress, your self-image is going to pick up on that deviation, right? Because your job, your mind's, the mind job is to keep you, I'm gonna have like, in different color actually, is to keep you safe. Like whatever it's within your self-image, it's a safe zone. So your brain, your mind job is always to keep you within that safe zone, right? Because when I say safe, it means familiar. Familiar to reflect your self-image. So even if you're making a bit of progress, even if it's good for you, for your mind, it's not perceived as good. It's perceived as a deviation from the self-image, which basically means it's a danger. And that is where sometimes you have to fight your own mind, because what is good for you is not good for your mind, right? Because your mind job and your brain are designed to keep you safe, to keep you the same. So even if something is good for you, well, your mind might not see it this way and would never see it this way. This is why a lot of people every time like they, they want to take like, some big risk, whether like, it's financially investing in themselves, start a new business, they always have this internal resistance. Not because it's bad for them, but because the mind is picking up on a deviation from your current state, your self-image, right? It's not aligned. So that's why when you make a bit of progress, where your mind is like, no, this is not you. This is not in line with my self-image. We have to get you back on course. Bring back the temperature in the room. So this is why you start a cycle of self-sabotage without even being conscious of it. It almost feels like natural for you to get loose on your habits, to deviate from the process you originally wanted to stick to, and you end up being back to square one. Right? Because of your self-image, because of your internal set points, right? And people, when they want to get in shape once like they terminate this cycle, this is what I call the self-sabotage is ending, they fell off. Now a few weeks after, they're like, you know what? I have the motivation now. I'm going to get back on track. So what they start looking for is, new plan, or maybe a new diet, or maybe a new habit, right? Some people will like, probably you're like, okay, you know what? I'm going to start waking up at 5 a.m. right now, hit the cold shower, do the push-ups in the morning, and I'm going to change now. Now I feel it. It's the time. I'm going to change. But next thing you know, you get started, see the progress, and boom, back to square one, right? If you don't understand this concept, you're gonna feel like you're unlucky. But this is not bad luck. This is just what your brain is designed for, to protect you, to keep you safe. So the question you need to ask yourself is, what plan do I have to try now, or what diet, or what new habit is going to magically resolve that problem for me? No. Because every time you focus on changing the plan or the diet, you're basically changing the behavior. But changing the behavior alone doesn't lead to permanent result. It leads to temporary result, right? You don't want to have progress for 1 month and in 3 months you look exactly how you got started. That is not the point. We want long-lasting results. So you cannot focus on just changing the behaviors, right? It's part of the game. I'm going to explain in a bit. But you need to focus on raising your internal setting. So you need a new set point. That is the key. That is how you're gonna finally keep the results you are making instead of undoing them and achieve more. You need to raise that set point. Again, if I want 30 degrees in the room, right? I need to change the setting. No matter how much I try in the room, if I try to burn things, there's always gonna be a calibration, an adjustment based on what is the setting in the room, right? So you need to start seeing that thermostat concept within your mind, right? Nothing will permanently stick unless you change the setting, the internal setting, okay? So now, how do you change that setting for good? We need two things, okay? First one is, well, maybe I need some space here. I'm gonna just write it down on this side. So we need two things. The first one is we need a new self-image. Okay? You need a new concept of you. So new concept of you. That's gonna require you to change your beliefs, right? It's gonna require you to change your perception, right? Your thoughts. Because 90% of the thoughts that you have today are the same as yesterday. So if you keep repeating them over and over, it's gonna lead to the same outcome because thoughts shapes your emotions, emotions shape your actions, and action dictate the results, right? So the root cause of everything is your thoughts, okay? The way you think, your perception, your belief. What else? Your emotions. All of that need to change, right? Let's say, for example, right now, here you are 20% body fat. And your goal is to be at 10% body fat. Well, you need to adopt the mental configuration of someone who's already at 10% body fat. You need to adopt the same belief. You need to adopt the same perception, the same point of view, the same thoughts. I'm gonna even add point of view, which is kind of similar to perception. And emotions, right? Someone who's at 10% body fat is feeling confident, secure on a daily basis. So you cannot approach that journey, those habits, those behaviors, with a feeling of non-confidence, of being unsure, uncertain, lacking beliefs, right? You cannot be someone who want to wake up at 5 a.m., but deep down, you tell yourself you're not a morning person. Can be someone you want to be at 10% body fat and deep down you believe you not deserve for it. You're not worthy of it, right? So we need full alignment with the way you perceive yourself, your self-concept, okay? But also, we need systems and standards. And this is where the behaviors, play the role. So yes, you need to understand what are the systems I need to follow every day and what are the standards I need to hold on a daily basis if 10% is my goal, right? If you want to become someone in the future, you have to become that person now. You need to embody that version of you being at 10% body fat from now, whether it's from a mental standpoint, but also from a discipline standpoint, from a standard standpoint. Like a guy who's in shape is not gonna be, and I say shape 10% body fat, he's not gonna be guessing his macros. He's not gonna be show up in the workout and not be intentional with the way he lives. No, we need standard for everything, for sure. And we need systems. We need to know on a daily basis what do we need to prioritize. So, gonna prioritize the training, of course, the diet, the sleep, the steps, and so on. I can be talking about morning routine. I can be talking about hydration. Those are the systems that's gonna get you to your goal. And for each system, we have standards. So for training, we're gonna train to failure. For diet, we're gonna have 90% whole food, right? And tracking macros. For sleep, we're gonna be like 8 hours, quality sleep, same wake up time, same bedtime. And for the steps, we're gonna be at 10K. Those are the systems, and for each system, we have certain standards. That's what you need to follow every single day. But if you're only focusing on the discipline without building the identity and the concept behind it, it's going to lead to burnout or to a cycle of self-sabotage, right? You need a right emotional pull. And that pull has to come from what do you hold in your mind. A great tool you can be using is imagination, right? Because the mind doesn't know the difference between what's real and what is imaginary. So use that at your advantage. So when you're at home, for example, you're looking at yourself in the mirror, like visualize yourself being at 10% body fat. Close your eye, feel the emotions, right? And whenever you're leaving that experience and go to do your daily things, keep that version, keep those feelings, embody it every day. Because when you adopt the new identity, okay, and you take the right actions based on the systems and the standards, those actions are going to build evidence, right? And that evidence is going to reinforce the new identity. So you have to keep doing that over and over for the new identity to erase the old one, to replace the old one, right? So yes, we need to take some actions, but also you also need to remind your mind or your brain. It's like, hey, like I'm becoming that version. This is why like tracking your wins is so important, because it's like a receipt. It's like at the end of the day, when you look at your accomplishment, your wins, whether through a habit tracker or your notepad or your iPhone, whatever, it's like you look at them and you have the self-talk and be like, hey, you know what? Like I've done what I was supposed to do. I'm becoming this person. Like this is who I am. And your brain is gonna be like, okay, yeah, you're right. I trust you. Check mark. That's your reinforced Zulu. But every time you deviate from the habits, guess what? You're feeding the old identity, because your mind is gonna be like, fuck, like you're a fucking joke. I cannot take you seriously. You told me you're gonna do something, but you haven't done it. Your brain always keeps the score. Know that. If you tell yourself you're gonna do something and you do it, your brain will be like, okay, yeah, I trust you. That's how you build self-trust and confidence. It's from those daily wins, right? And again, coming back to the emotions, right? Someone's at 10% body fat is feeling confident on a daily basis. So this is why every time you complete an habit or a task that is aligned with that version of you want to become, you need to remind yourself, hey, like I've done it. And just the fact that you remind yourself mentally is going to build self-trust, which equals confidence, right? Which is a natural feeling of someone who's at 10% body fat. You have to feel confident now for you to feel confident at 10% body fat. Don't wait for the results to give you the feeling. Embrace the feeling now before you get the results, and that's how you're gonna get the result. And you can embrace that feeling only by stacking evidence of success, right? This is why having the systems and the daily standard and non-negotiable habits, you can call them in different way. Non-negotiable habits is the way you're going to feel the right emotion, right? But you need to act and remind yourself. And then again, you reinforce the new identity and you keep doing that, keep doing that. And next thing you know, you're gonna break that cycle of self-sabotage for good. I also want to emphasize on one thing is that new concept of you, like you need to be clear on who you want to become. And this is where most people mess up when they wanna start fitness. Like they don't have clarity on where they go. Like your mind works in images. And the same way you need a setting point, you also need a clear destination. You cannot be vague, right? You don't just tell the thermostat, yes, I just want a warm room. You actually need to enter a specific number. And where most people mess is that they're not clear on who they want to become exactly. So first of all, like address where you're at now. Like look at yourself without judgment and write down. What do you think about yourself? What do you believe to be true about yourself? Like what are your dominant emotions on a daily basis, right? How do you conceptualize fitness in your head? Do you have like positive association, negative? Just be honest, write it down. And then on another sheet of paper, write down how this version of you being at 10% will show up, will feel, will act, will do. And you embody that person now. But we understand that the first step is clarity. You need to be clear on those emotions, on also the look from a physical standpoint. Also emotionally, how this person is, right? Be very, very specific, right? Because your mind works with specificity, with images as well. So if you want to visualize yourself, you need to create an image, right? You cannot just imagine something that is random, right? Because again, your mind will be like, okay, that's who you want to become? Okay, I'm working towards that. You cannot be out of shape and still hold an image of you being out of shape. So you need to be exactly clear on physically like how you want to look like. So you can be visualizing yourself. Like I remember when I was out of shape, my fitness, I was looking at myself in the mirror and I was literally projecting like visible abs in my stomach where at the time I was just having fat and I was feeling it and I was embodying that person and I kept going, in my day, like, feeling this way. Like in my head, I was already in shape. It was just a matter of time before reality catches up, right? And it's such a powerful tool, imagination. Like 2 months ago, I had a boxing fight and every single day I was visualizing myself knocking out the guy. And I have like, the video to prove it. And it was almost the way I was visualizing it. Like hooking the body, headshots. It happens, it works. Use it at your advantage, right? But again, you need to be specific. First of all, adopt the right systems, set the right standards. And the last thing is, of course, consistency, right? You gotta stay consistent. Life will try to shake you, but this is why when you have the systems, it's gonna help you hold the pressure even when it feels tough. And you stay consistent, you build the evidence on a daily basis, you reinforce the new identity, you keep doing that, and next thing you know, you're gonna raise the set point, and now the result will be permanent and not just temporary, right? So just keep in mind, if you need more help to apply this concept in your day-to-day life, and we can use it for your fitness, for your career, for your dating life as well, link in the bio for one-on-one coaching. And love you all. Thanks for watching, and I see you soon.